didn't think to ask. And then I was in it and said, well, I'm going to make a decision. So I called him into heel when we were like in the middle of walking. Like instead of stopping and starting. I mean, I did that too.
Sure.
But then there were a couple times where I wanted to just he had gotten too far ahead of me, or I wanted to back quickly. So I just said it. And he came right back. Like he gets it that when he's supposed to be in heel, it's supposed to be here. And I think this week I could tell he understood the word break. Up until now, I couldn't tell if he knew what that meant.
Sure.
But on heel, when I would say break, he would be like, yay! And he'd trot ahead of me at that point.
Gotcha.
I just wanted to tell you everything I brought. I can't remember what we said about the muzzle. I forgot to bring.
Okay.
But I brought the flirt stick.
Oh,
if
sure.
to use it to try to distract him. And I got that long leash.
The long leash. Okay.
If you need it.
So we covered heel, right? And we were adding the word. We did the turns already.
Oh yeah, and I did the turns, and those were really good. That I did have a question about that. I pretty much only do those turns when he's in heel.
Correct.
Because otherwise he could be potentially in front of me.
Correct, and then it doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay.
Those leg movements only work when in the heel
Right
position.
now. That's what that made sense to me. But
Yeah.
And then one other question not related to this week is, with the better weather, I'm definitely running into more dogs.
Yep.
And there was a dog like in the fenced area where we used to play, and we were walking by, and that dog was going crazy at us, and he did so well, but he like perked up and and his attention went there, so I tapped him. But then I thought, well, he didn't break heel or anything, but his attention was up. So then I was like, I should just clarify with you what I do. What should I do? Like,
so
when another dog
you can disagree with anything you don't want. Okay. I don't think that you correcting him for that was a bad thing.
Okay.
Because he technically shouldn't care. Okay.
Right.
Now I don't
want him to care that much.
Yes. The alertness and the frequency of alertness and stuff can build into reactivity.
I mean, he can look at them.
Yeah.
But then I want him back with me. I don't want him to be like Princey,
Exactly.
like I'm about to react.
Yes,
Yeah.
because stimulation turns into reactivity fairly quickly.
Yeah, and he's been so good. I did make one mistake early on. I'm going to be distracted by that puppy, I'm going to be honest with you. On Monday, we ran some errands, and like I didn't put his collar on because he was in the car the whole time. And then afterwards, I'm like, let's just go for a quick pee walk.
Sure.
Well, there was a dog behind a fence, and he at first didn't react and then reacted, and I was like, damn it. So I felt like that was a backslide because I didn't have any way of like
correcting him.
Yeah. So ever since then, every time we go out, he's got the collar on.
Gotcha.
So.
And the stuff like that
everything
isn't
else
going
is
to like be terribly detrimental or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're doing that
All the time.
consistently and
Yeah,
repeating.
no.
Yeah, you're
I
fine.
learned my lesson. I was mad at myself. I'm like, it would have taken me 20 seconds to put the collar on and avoid that.
Yeah.
But, oh yeah, so we've done, sorry, all I do is close. We've done heel with the word, we've done turns, we've done sitting down, we've done place, which we worked on today because he hadn't done it for a while and he had forgotten a little bit. We talked about maybe doing recall today with a distraction, and yeah.
Okay, so we can do a couple of things here. We can cover recall. Just be aware that everywhere is super muddy right now. Okay.
Everywhere. Oh, muddy.
Yeah. So I have something that we can cover that's still in the short leash and stuff to buy you a week. If you don't care about the mud and you'll still practice recall, we can cover recall today as well. It's just up to you because I worked with a couple of clients at the park the other day, and there was like this much water, standing water, just sitting there. So you're like stepping in pockets of like of water and stuff, right? Plus it was just super muddy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you like to cover recall or would you like to cover stay?
So recall is like something I only practice outside, or it's
Correct.
best practiced outside.
Right, because you want it to be In order for it to be realistically applicable outside, you have to practice outside, right? So if you practice in the house, like it's not going to be the same.
Right, because aren't any distractions.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Because we've not covered steak, correct?
We covered it for like 15 minutes last class.
Oh, with the
But
pivot
they
out
let-
and everything?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've done stay, heel, sit, down. We covered place. Gotcha. I mean, we could cover flirt pole stuff if we could do that inside. And it's just how to harness flirt pole and playing with...
I super glued it, but he did break it on Monday. It was my fault because he was tugging and I tugged back. Let's try recall. Honestly,
Okay.
even if it's, I mean, can we start it here, even though we're inside?
No, we're going to start here. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're going to be in here. I'm just letting you know
When I
that...
walk in, he gets muddy. Recall's so important. It'll be a big element to me being able to trust him.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just get started. And I'm even thinking I can start in that fenced-in area that's outside that he escaped from and attacked the other dog from. It's a big soccer field, but it's fenced in, but it's big.
Okay.
And that's
Sure.
AstroTurf, so it wouldn't be muddy. That's
Sure.
what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm. Do that.
Let's try it.
So we're going to use our leash so your leash doesn't track a ton of fur on it. So here. Good. So what we're going to do is we're going to clip this to the prong collar here. There we go.
And take the short one off?
Correct. All right, and you're going to clip this short leash to the prong collar. Actually, put this on his teal collar there. And I'm going to walk you through this. Recall is a very heavily coordinated command. Hey, Elias, would you go to my office and bring me a camera battery, please? You hold the remote in left hand, like that?
Yeah, that's what I've done before, but I can switch it.
No. Is that what you normally do?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the handle of the leash, you're gonna put it over your left thumb, okay? You're gonna have your remote here, okay?
This black leash or this short leash? Sorry.
I'm gonna take the short leash.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna be having the black leash, but
Okay.
I'm just demonstrating.
Okay.
Yep. So you're gonna have the end of the black leash. You're gonna drape the handle over your thumb. You're gonna have your remote here. That leaves these 3 fingers free. Okay. So here, when Oakely is coming towards you, you're gonna be moving backwards, and you're gonna be reeling in the leash like this, but you're gonna be using these 3 fingers.
Okay.
You see that?
Uh-huh.
So then, whenever you decide to stop reeling it in, you just go like this, you're gonna clasp down, like this. Okay. So this locks your leash. Okay. So the reason for this is rope burn, because if Oakely takes off and you're holding the leash like this, it's gonna rip right through your hand. Okay.
Yeah.
This stops that. Okay. He might yank your arm a little bit,
Yeah,
but it's not
it's
gonna
not
roll
gonna
through
burn
and burn your, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now let's say you're not ready. You don't have your leash like this. He's taking off. As long as he's not running towards anything dangerous, you can let this go because you got this here.
Okay.
This is your secondary lock. Okay. So here, you're moving back, you're reeling in that leash. As soon as you come to a stop, you simply just lock it. Okay.
So I'm dropping the slack I pull, I drop onto the ground.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing you're going to do is go ahead and drop that black leash there. Is in the beginning, you're going to start by putting a little bit of pressure. So here you can see how like there's tension on this collar there. And we would start tapping right on the remote. And the moment we see Oakely moving towards us, you would stop tapping and just reel in the leash and throw it on the ground. Okay. And you're going to be moving backwards at the same time.
Okay.
So there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay. So don't worry about getting everything all at once. As you repeat it, you're going to start to get all the pieces. Okay. So I'm going to give you this leash here. I'm going to take short leash here. Good. Break. Come here. And I'll coach you through the rest. Hey, buddy. Okay. Right, yeah. And then you're gonna go that way, and you're gonna stop about 5 feet of the wall there. Yeah, that's good right there. So here, go ahead and reel in a little bit of leash. Reel it in a little bit, there you go. And what's the number currently set at?
28.
Yeah, we'll start at 28. So here, go ahead and put a little bit of tension. And pull, 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 and tap, tap, tap. Now walk backwards. 1, 2, 3, hold right there. Keep reeling in your leash, yep. Now here, turn to face Oakely. Now walk backwards. Tap, 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 hold right there. All right, wait a moment, and treat.
Good boy. Good boy.
Good. And break.
Great.
Good, we're gonna repeat that a few more times.
Good boy.
Break, come on, bud. And a boy. Good.
I see the trouble with mud because all this leash would be in the mud.
Yeah, and then you're walking backwards, and there's if there's snow
Yeah.
behind you, it gets uneven.
It's all right, but now I understand the big picture.
Uh-huh. Tap, tap, tap. Now backwards. 1, 2, 3, that's good. Hold right there. Tap, pull, tap, good. There you go. Hold right there. Now here, turn to face Oakely. Move backwards. Tap, tap, good. Hold right there. Wait a moment, and feed.
Good boy. Such a good boy. Yeah, good job, baby.
Good, and break.
Great.
Come on, buddy. And a boy. Good, and we'll repeat that 3 more times. Okay, good. Tap, 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 and back. 1, 2, 3, that's good. Tap, tap, good. Now here, yeah, move back, tap, tap, good, hold right there. Good. Yep, good. And break.
Great.
Good.
Good boy. So no matter where he ends up, I turn my body to face him.
Correct. So what you're doing is, the reason why you're moving backwards is to draw him to you, okay? To give him something to attach to. Because we're running out of space, you have to stop. But technically, if you're outside, you would keep walking backwards and tapping until he came all the way to you, okay? Tip, tip. Now back. 1, 2, 3. That's good. Good. Keep reeling. Good. Tap, tap. Good. Now move back. 1, 2. That's good right there. Hold. And praise and treat.
Good boy. Good job. Good job.
Good. And break. We're going to do one more. Come here, bud. Good. Tap, tap, and back. 1, 2, 3. That's good. Good move. Yep. Tap. Hold right there. And praise. And treat. Good.
Good job. Good job. Great. Good boy.
Here, bud. Break, break, break. Come on. So here, you might start seeing him being less enthusiastic on coming with me. because he knows he's going to get remoted. That's why we do 2 leashes.
I get a treat full of a pocket full of hot dogs.
Now this time we're going to flip it a little bit. What you're going to do is you're going to tap first 2 to 3 times, and if Oakely doesn't respond, you're going to keep tapping and then pull and move backwards, okay?
So no tension.
Yeah, but go ahead and have yourself set up just in case, yep, and tap.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I wasn't quite ready for that.
Very good.
Okay.
And tap, tap, tap. Now backwards, tap and pull. Good. Hold right there. Good. And praise.
Good boy.
Good.
boy. Good
And
boy.
break.
Break. Good boy.
Thank you. Come on, bud. Hey, Elias. She did a little piddle in there. And
Tap.
tap, 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 and back. 1, 2, 3. Hold right there.
Good boy. Good boy. Good job. Good job. Great. Good boy, Oakely.
Good.
Good boy.
Thank you. Break. Come on, bud. Atta boy. Good. Go ahead. Tap. 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 Now, it's a controlled context. You know, life is always random. We'll do one more. Come on, buddy. Yeah, so you see now he wants to follow you.
Now he's like,
Yes.
okay.
So that's why we do the second leash here.
Yeah.
All right.
Ready?
Tap. Tap. Good. And back. 1, 2, 3. That's good right there.
Good job.
Good.
Check. Check.
Very good.
Good boy.
And break. Good. So we're going to bring them back. We're going to give them a moment to rest. So here, we started first with the leash, right? To give him directional pressure, to guide him into what we need him to do in order to turn that pressure off. The number 28 that you're using is a very good number because it's getting him to move, it's getting him to think.
Yeah.
And then right now, with just the tapping alone, he's thinking, I need to do something.
Yeah.
Okay. So we use the leash, we did a few reps of those, we condition him, then we start to wean away the leash because ultimately you're not going to have that, right? You're only going to have that tool.
Right.
So now we're starting to transition him to slowly responding to the e-collar. So the way he interprets the e-collar depends on what life looks like at the moment. Okay. So if you're walking in the heel with Oakely, your leg is here. That's his reference point. So if you're like this and you tap him, he thinks, I need to do this. Because this is where your leg's supposed to be. If you come to a stop and he forgets to sit and you tap him, he thinks he needs to do this, right? Because he's using that leg as a reference.
Right.
So here, when you're 30 feet of him and you're tapping and he turns around, he's like, oh, mom's all the way over there. She must need me to return. He's going to come in, okay? But he's going to need direction in the beginning. But eventually, once he associates the concept to the word, then it's just the remote itself, and the pressure will guide him into what he's supposed to do. Okay? So here, the reason why we move back is to give him something to attach to. Okay? So most of the time when people call their dogs, they're standing still.
Yeah.
Right? They'll be at the dog park, hey, get over here.
Uh-huh.
And the dog will look at them, and they're like, what? And they'll keep playing.
Yeah.
But then the owner will say, but when I try to leave, the dog follows me because they think I'm going to abandon them.
Right,
And no, it's
right.
not because they're going to abandon them. It's because now you're moving, because now they have something to attach to,
Huh.
right? So here, that movement back gives him a target, okay? Let's say Oakely is out of earshot. He can't hear you. You remote him. It's going to get his attention. He's going to think, I need to go look for mom, right? So he feels the pressure and he sees you doing this. that's his visual cue of you need to return.
Okay.
Okay, so it also comes into play even like at a distance when he can't hear you.
Yeah.
So that's why it's super important. Okay.
Then I back up as he's coming, as he sees me, I
Mhm.
back up.
Yes.
Okay.
The moment you see him target or move towards you, you start to do this. Okay, and that's kind of like telling him, yes, that's the correct thing. Okay. So to this day, if you see me call my dogs, you'll see me do this at least 3 times, 3 steps. Okay. If the dog stops and detours, tapping and moving back away from them. Okay, so you always want to move away from the dog.
Right.
People tend to move into the dog.
Right. I mean, that you're trying to get them, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So when you move into them, you tend to scare them away, or you create a game.
Right.
You know, so like when I used to train at Oz Park, I saw at least a handful of times of people chasing their dog, and they would stop, and the dog would stop.
Yeah.
And the moment they move, the dog would take off again, right? Because now it's a game.
Right.
So we always move away from them. Okay. So here with Oakely, I don't care where he lands. Right, left, front, back, between your legs, as long as he's within that immediate space.
Yeah.
Okay, so if Oakely were to, for instance, land here, and I'm over here, that's too far. Tap, move backwards, make him return all the way.
Okay.
If you come in and praise him, you do part of the work. Okay, so what ends up happening? No, he does all of it. Correct. So what ends up happening is over time, he'll start to like land at a distance. Yeah. And then one day you'll see him slow down, like he's gonna stop. He's gonna take off again. Okay, so that's why we always want them to land in our immediate space, because they typically, once they do that, they're more inclined to stay put with you. Okay? Questions on this so far?
How do I reset him when I'm outside and I don't have you? Like, do I sit
Sure.
him and stay him, or?
So ideally, you don't want to do recall from a stay command or a stationary command, because one, it's not realistic.
Right.
He's not going to be sitting still for you, right? But also, this isn't realistic.
Yeah.
No one will be holding him for you, right? So what we do is, does he have prey drive?
Yes.
Perfect. So we use that to our advantage. Go to the park, pop him on the long leash, Oakely break, let him be a dog. And we're just walking, right? He's doing his doggy thing. He's roaming around, sniffing, peeing, pooping, smoking a cigarette, whatever. He's on his own time. And then finally we see some squirrels. And let's say this column here is a tree. And I go, right? And he's there, he's barking, like looking, right? He's having a good old time. And let him do it. A few minutes go by, Oakely come. Pull him away from the squirrels, okay? He comes to you, I wait, because a lot of times just waiting, the dog, because you pulled them from an activity, will want to re-engage. So by waiting a few seconds, you might see him run back. If he runs back, we don't call him again. We simply start remoting and move away.
Because he's still on that command.
Correct.
And if does he have to sit when he comes to me?
Yes. There's an auto sit just like the heel. Okay. So again, I don't care where he sits, just that he comes to you all the way and then puts that butt down. So if he's here and he's waiting, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I can't hold it anymore, he's gonna take off. You start remoting, moving away again, but we would not call him again.
The second he starts taking off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So like, let's say you see it first and then you tap him and you stop him and he comes in, perfect. Yeah. If he takes off, you just keep tapping, move backwards, draw him back in again. He sits his butt down, we wait a moment, break. And then I might let him go right back to the squirrels again. Okay. So dogs with prey drive are great because you have a distraction and a reward at the same time. Okay. So I have no problem with dogs chasing squirrels, chasing rabbits, and all that stuff. They're predators. Yeah. I just want to know exactly, or if they're under command, they ignore them. Yeah. Okay. So you can use it as a distraction. You can use it as a reward. There's typically 3 points of which you can do the recall, or they're like the most difficult. One is as they're in pursuit, halfway to 3/4, right when they get there, and then once they've been doing it for a while. Okay, and I always suggest that people randomize where they put the recall in, because if you always call them in the pursuit, you'll start to see them chase squirrels and then just automatically turn around and come to you because he thinks you're going to call them. Okay, so I randomize when I do, and sometimes I just let them go, and instead of calling them, I'll just reel them in. Okay, so I leave him stuck in that drive, so he doesn't come to a concrete conclusion of like, you're going to call me at some point. Okay.
So you said instead of call them, you reeled them in, so you wouldn't have changed the command But you still control their actions. Is that what you mean?
Correct. Like I wouldn't say Oakely come, right? I would just drag him without saying anything, right? Or go over and grab him and leash him on a short leash and walk away, right? So I leave him still in some drive, so that this way, he's not thinking it's a guarantee you're gonna call me at some point. Exactly. Okay. So the longer you allow him to do something, the more disconnected he gets from you. Okay, so if he's barking up a tree with squirrels and stuff, and he does it for like 10 minutes, it's like a kid playing video games.
Yeah.
Or or when they're watching their TV shows or whatever. You go to tell them to do something, and they don't respond. So for me, from growing up, I'd be watching TV, and my mom would be like, "Oh, wash the dishes." I'm like, "Okay, mom." And she'd come back an hour later. "Did you wash the dishes?" Right?
But did you ask me to do that? Yeah.
Right. So same thing with the dog. Okay. So definitely using those things for our advantage. So like I had a gentleman who lived across the street from the river, and there was this huge lot of land in front of, so it was his home, street, lot of land, and then the river. And every morning there would be like 100 geese in that area, and his dog loved chasing them. So he bought a 100-foot leash, which I don't recommend, but it's way too long.
Yeah.
So, and he said within like 2 weeks, his dog had perfect recall, because he'd go every day. And he would call the dog in pursuit. He'd call the dog right when he got there with the flock of the geese, whatever. He'd call him in the pursuit of chasing them and all that stuff. So within a week or 2 weeks, he had it because he had
Everyday practice with the best distractor.
And for recall tends to take people the longest to teach because it requires you to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for him to be distracted.
Yes, exactly.
If he swirls out, or then it's like.
Now he doesn't want to leave your side, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's gotten so good at this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So heel is the fastest thing we teach because you walk your dog multiple times a day. Place, sit, stay, down tend to be, it's up to the owner, right? Some people are good about it because you can practice even inside your home. Or some people put it off just because they can practice whenever, right? So it can either be really fast or slow as well. But recall tends to be the slowest just because unless you live right across the street from the perfect environment, you have to go somewhere, okay? And then you have to account for if there's going to be distractions there, like you said. Yeah. The other factor is, let's say I drill this too much, he doesn't want to leave your side, right? Because he just thinks, oh, if you call me, you're just gonna call me again, right? So then he catches on to the game. And he doesn't want to leave.
Sometimes when he's on a long leash, I need to do recall.
Yeah, just let him be.
So it's not like long leash, I'm going to staying by your side.
Yeah. So what I'll do is, I might go 30 minutes, which is letting him be a dog.
Okay.
And at the end, Oakely come.
Okay.
And then the next day, 30 minutes, I call him 5 times. Okay. And the next day, 2 times.
Super random.
2 times. Yeah. 4 times. 1 time.
Okay.
1 time. And then this way he doesn't pick up on a pattern.
Right.
If you see he does become paranoid, the puppy's training Gibble. If he does become paranoid to leaving your side, then we have a problem. Yeah. How are you going to practice if he doesn't leave your side, right? Yeah. So then you have to work on rebuilding comfort. Okay, so then you end up going to the park and letting him be free and stuff, and you have to do that for a few days, and eventually, like, he'll start to like meander and walk around again.
Yeah,
but then
he's very fear-based, like he's very. Once he knows, I think it would be bad if I got him there because I think it would take me a while to get him back.
Get him back. Yeah.
It just seems. He always hunkers, like when he thinks he's in trouble, he hunkers. And then, very sad for a while. I don't know. So yeah, I need to just be as random as possible. And maybe, like, can I like the world is so wonderful for her. Like, can I throw a ball to him, or is that not fair?
So you can, but like, let's say you try to use the ball as a means of getting him to go. Just be mindful not to do a recall there. Because sometimes people do that where they'll throw the ball and they'll practice a recall in pursuit of the ball. But then the dog learns, like, well, you're just going to call me, so then they start just returning. Yeah. So what you can do is
buy some squirrels.
If you start to see them getting more apprehensive of leaving you, lay off. Okay, just end it there, lay off, and that's when I said, like, let them do something and just reel them in.
Yeah.
Instead of
actually
drilling it
moving
more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then when I reel him in, can I still give him a treat when he comes back?
That's fine.
To make that like a positive
Yeah,
thing?
that's fine. I just avoid any pressure on the e-collar or whatever. I
Right,
just
right,
drag
right,
them in.
right.
Um, other questions?
Okay, let me just think. Think this through. Is it the same, a 3 tap, no response, up 5, 3 tap? Call him only once.
And then make it happen. Okay.
And after the first 3, I start applying leash pressure. Like,
Yeah. So what we're doing here is we start with the tapping first to see if the tapping alone will get him to turn and return to you. Okay. If we don't see that, then I apply a little bit of pressure as I'm moving backwards. And then if you see like it's not getting better, then we start playing with that level. Okay. Because then we have to find a number that's going to incentivize them to want to return more quickly within fewer taps. Okay. So that 3 tap rule applies to everything. Unless like it's an emergency scenario, then it's kind of like just tap and turn up until you make it happen. So.
Okay, and no matter what, no matter how long it takes him to come back to me, I should treat him when he gets back.
Yes, never scold the dog for not coming or taking too long, because he doesn't relate that.
Okay.
He doesn't think like, oh, sorry, you know.
Yeah, you have to go up twice.
Yeah, you know, it's not like me growing up. My mom was like, why did it take you half an hour to get home when it should take you 20 minutes?
Right.
Like, right? Because I'm aware of that. He does not. Always reward. Okay. Reward or praise. But I tell people never scold a dog for returning to you, because then they think they're coming to discipline. They're not going to want to do that. Okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go in and the reason why we didn't use the word come right now is because let's say you did say Oakely come and he came. It's great and all, but it didn't allow us to use the e-collar.
Oh, right.
And you want to use the e-collar, right?
Yeah.
So we do no words in the beginning, so we know it's the pressure itself that's getting him to return. And then we start to layer in the word. Okay? So now we're going to do that. Everything's going to stay the same, except you're going to cue Oakely come. Then the tapping is going to start, and then the backwards with the pulling. Okay? Questions?
No.
Alrighty.
I know.
Break.
It's so good for him to be able to see dogs. Like, I swear part of his reactivity is he doesn't understand how dogs are supposed to react. Because I think he's in a shelter. You know, in shelters they act crazy.
Sure, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah. Should I say it? Oakely come.
Tip, tip, now back. 1, 2, 3, up, pooper. Good,
Break.
and break. Thank you. Hey, Corey, Frank pooped. And you know what you can have Elias do? Is to check in the front, because people weren't picking up their dog crap with the snow, and have them pick it up.
Oakely come.
Tap, tap, back. 1, 2, 3.
Good boy. Good boy. I like the hustle on that one. Good boy. Great.
Good, we're gonna do 3 more. Thank you. Okay.
Should I start now? Oakely come.
Tap, tap. Now back. Good.
Good dog. Good dog. Good boy.
Good, and
Great.
break.
Even with
Two
those
more.
2 dogs playing, I thought maybe he wasn't going to do that.
So he's most likely used to the environment. Did you run out of weenie? Did you run out of hot dog?
Wait, say that one more?
Did you run out of hot dog?
Oh, no, not yet.
Okay, because I have some sausage from earlier.
Okay, I've got like 8 more.
Okay.
Oakely come.
Tap. Good. Good, yeah, right there. Good. Good.
Great.
One more.
Good boy.
Thank you.
Oakely, come.
Tap. Good. Right there. Hold right there.
You're walking so funny, but it's a great job.
Good.
Great.
Go ahead and bring them forward. So, at this stage in training, every time you call Oakely, you're always going to remote him at least once.
Okay.
Even if he's coming to you,
Yeah.
you're still going to tap him. Okay. So, with training, we have training and then we have proofing. Okay, proofing makes the training applicable no matter what. Okay. So, like, you know, when you heel or you put him in heel, you know, you practicing every day outside and stuff is you technically proofing because you're exposing him to a lot of different things, right? If you practice heel in here all the time, he's going to be grading here, but then as soon as you transfer outside, it'll be more of a problem, right?
Right.
So I always tell people right off the bat, once you start training, start applying it to life because that's what makes it applicable.
Yeah.
Now recall here, most important command, is if you call Oakely and he's coming to you and you tap him too late, so after he's returning, after he decided to return to you, what do you think could happen?
He thinks he's not supposed to come to me. He's doing the wrong thing.
So then what might he do in response?
Go away from me.
Yes. Okay.
Which would be terrible.
Yes.
It's
So
gotta be
quick, there's more points to it. The main thing is we don't ever want him to run away.
Right.
Right. So this is why we talk about proofing. Okay. So I had a lady, she had a Roddy that we worked with, and she'd been training him since the day she got him with food and everything. And when we started recall, like she didn't think she needed a long leash or anything. And I told her, nope, long leash, remote, right, all that stuff. And then she's like, Jesse, this dog has never not come to me. He's going to do amazing. I'm like, I'm sure he will, right?
put him on the leash.
So ironically, within that week, the dog took off on her. Okay, but guess what?
He came back because she tapped him.
No, she had him on a long leash, so he didn't get away.
No kidding.
Yes.
No kidding.
She had him on the long leash. So then the next time I saw her, she said, Jesse, she's like, I'm so grateful that you made me use the long leash. She's like, you were right. My confidence was through the roof. He is not 100%.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm like, because people go by their successes and it creates a false sense of security. And I want to see the dog screw up first and know that I can fix it and the dog knows how to fix it. So this way, if something happens, I'm not worried, right? So I don't like it when I get dogs that get perfect recalls and the owner never screws up.
Because you don't trust it yet.
Yes. So here, I do this to force mistakes. So every time you call Oakely, Oakely come, remote. I don't care if he's already beelining towards you, always remote at least once.
As long as it's right after I say it, not
Correct.
like as he's coming towards
And you might get a delayed tap, like a super delayed tap. Like let's say you fumble, still tap, okay? Because no matter when that tap comes in, it should never deflect them. Okay. So here, when we call and tap him and he starts to run off, you want to keep moving back and keep tapping. We don't recall again until you
say it again. So
correct. You don't repeat and you make him return.
That's my weakest part. I'll say things like 3 times and then I'll be like, so
Everybody does it.
I have to just say it once.
Say it once and just think instead of repeating, remote.
Yeah.
Right? So that's really what it's doing. Did somebody pee on there, Corey? Yeah. Oh, I think it went all the way down. I could see it down here. Would you take it and rinse it, please? Yeah, so when you call him, tap, and then if he deflects, keep tapping, move back, draw him all the way back to you, okay? Never repeating, always moving away from, never moving in to meet him, okay? Even if he lands just a foot too far, tap, move, make him complete it, okay? And this is gonna be for a few weeks, okay? Every time you call him, tap. Oakely come, tap, okay? Questions about any of this stuff?
Okay, hold on, let me just think it through. Like when I'm walking to the park, I have him on my regular leash. And then when we get there, I switch him over. And then he's doing his thing. And I could even like stop moving and he could wander away and I could do the recall at that point.
And I'll like sneak away and like find things, you know, like if it's like, if I see a tree with squirrels, we're walking right over to that tree with squirrels, you know, and I let them, have some fun. And then it's just repeat until you get them there. And there's stages to this. There's long leash to long leash dragging, to no leash enclosed area, to no leash unenclosed area. That's the process. Give people. Not everybody does it. A lot of people just skip from here to no leash, you know. But if you take your time to go through all those steps, you're going to have a much more reliable recall.
And feel more confident.
One of the most common problems we get with the recall is if you were to call Oakely and like someone were to be in the middle of you, he would run to that person because he's thinking get to the nearest body, as opposed to come to the voice that called him. So if that happens, that's the exception to the do not repeat rule, because to him, he thinks he did it.
I see.
He thinks he completed the task because somebody called him and he went to someone. So then
I would back up again, make him see me, call him again, and then
tap,
backwards. Okay.
So because you're resetting the command.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
For the recall, there's 2 points to it. There's the turn and the return. So the turn is when you call him, how fast does he turn away from the distraction? The return, of course, is the speed of which he comes back to you.
Right.
And we want both of those things to be as quick as possible.
Right.
Okay? We can create that speed through practice and repetition. If you're like, man, he's just not getting better, like it's just like a mosey along, whatever, we start to play with power.
You started over to me though.
Yeah, towards the end, because he's getting the concept now. Because his instinct is when I feel pressure to go like this. But once he starts to get comfortable with it, you start to see him, like you said, trot along and speed up, and he was even wagging his tail because he was processing everything.
Yeah, he's like, I'm doing the right thing.
Yes, so I don't really care about the speed today.
Right.
Because I know either repetition and practice, or if that doesn't get it over a couple of weeks, then we go to more power. Okay. Feel free to, of course, use food with this exercise, because recall is, of course, the most important command.
Right.
And we're not using it to lure him. We're using it to as payment at the end. Okay. Questions?
I think that's good. This feels like, this feels like a big one to get well. I mean, they all feel pretty big, but this one, it just feels like if you don't get it right, there's a lot more consequences.
Well, sure, like if he runs off. That's why we do the long leash. So don't ever call him if you cannot make it happen, because he's going to learn, I don't need to return.
Right.
That's why that long leash is so important.
Do I need to be more, like in the house if I call him? Do I need to be more casual about it? Because
what I would do is in the home, because people usually complain, Jesse, my dog is great with recall outside, but sucks inside the house. I'm like, well, did you practice inside? They go, no. Right? So like practicing inside, like I don't care. Like if I give my dog a command inside the house and they don't respond, I wouldn't care, because I know outside they're like that, right? Because that's my pit Lex, that's her. Like I'll call her and she'll be on the couch and she's like, right? And you see her wagging her tail, I'm like, relax, and she's like, and I'm like, come on. She gets up, but as soon as we're outside, she's on it, right? So I'm like, I don't care that she is slow in the home.
So it's okay if I say, when we come in the house, and he does that sort of thing. Yeah, okay.
Pending
I don't have to
outside,
write that he's doing it.
Yeah, because that's when you do. Because remember, dogs don't generalize. He's just like, oh, when we're outside, that's when I really get moved.
Got it.
When we're inside, I can mosey along, right?
Okay.
Now, let's say you want him to move inside the home. Well, then you want to incentivize him inside the home as well, and you can even pair food with that. When you call him within the home, hey, you get two.
And yeah, it's super quiet. Like, I'm so happy that Oakely is watching that behavior, because they're playing pretty hard, but playing very quiet, you know?
Other questions? Would you like to take these?
I don't think so. If you're not gonna, do you need it?
This was from my previous client, just before you. We had too many.
That's the client before you. I'm so happy they're before.
Do you want to just toss those in there and just take the bag?
They have the quality. Oops. I actually was thinking, like, their dog doesn't know how good their dog has it.
Well, this was a gift from a client.
That's like mad sausage.
Yeah, it's this huge. It's huge. It's summer sausage. It's like this big.
And the fact that you're giving it to a dog and not yourself is awfully nice of you. Seriously.
Well,